8 signs of heart attack a month before you cannot ignore. People with heart disease don't die because they lack symptoms. They die because they failed to recognize them. You may have felt unusually tired for several days, or experienced mild heartburn after dinner. Maybe you thought, it's just aging, or I ate something spicy, or I'm probably just stressed. But did you know that these seemingly minor sensations could be your heart's final cry for help? Mrs. Anna, 68 years old, was one such case. She shared in the comments of our previous video that in the weeks leading up to her hospitalization for a heart attack, she felt unusually fatigued, had several sleepless nights, and experienced lightheadedness when standing up. But because she assumed it was normal for her age, she ignored every one of those signs. In reality, up to 80% of heart attacks are preventable if we recognize the early warning signs. And the surprising truth is, those signs often appear well in advance, sometimes even a full month before the heart truly breaks down. Today's video will help you identify 8 silent but extremely dangerous warning signs that no one over 60 should ever ignore. The first symptom may seem like a digestive issue, but in fact, it could be the alarm bell for an impending heart attack. It comes quietly, just a mild burning sensation in the chest, especially after a meal, or a feeling of upper abdominal bloating that makes you think you simply didn't digest your food well. You might take a few antacid pills and go on with your day as usual, but in truth, you may have just overlooked the very first and critically important warning sign of a heart attack. The heart and stomach share a common nerve pathway. That's why the brain can easily misinterpret pain signals from the heart as indigestion or heartburn. This type of symptom is particularly common in women, people over 60, and individuals with diabetes, groups that often don't experience typical chest pain at all. According to a 2018 study published in Circulation, over 39% of female patients above the age of 65 who were hospitalized for heart attacks reported no chest pain whatsoever. Instead, they had symptoms like persistent heartburn, nausea, and indigestion for up to 2 weeks beforehand. So how can you tell the difference? If your heartburn is accompanied by nausea, cold sweats, shortness of breath, or pain radiating to the shoulder, do not ignore it. Go to the hospital, because this may not be a digestive issue at all. It may be your heart crying out from severe oxygen deprivation. Mrs. Clara, 71, shared in the comments, "I thought it was just digestive trouble. It wasn't until I started feeling short of breath and dizzy when standing that I was diagnosed with myocardial ischemia." If you've ever felt something similar, leave a comment. You are not alone. The next warning sign may surprise many because they've always assumed it was simply the result of overwork.
Sign number 7, unusual fatigue. This isn't the kind of tiredness you feel after a long day. It's different. You sleep well, eat regularly, and don't push yourself physically, but each morning you still wake up feeling drained. Simple tasks like showering or walking a few steps around the house leave you exhausted. You tell yourself, oh, maybe it's just because I'm getting old. But what's the truth? Persistent fatigue, even without exertion, can be one of the first signs that your heart is no longer pumping efficiently. When the heart weakens, blood flow to your muscles, brain, and tissues decreases. The body prioritizes blood supply to vital organs, leaving your arms and legs feeling heavy, sluggish, and weak. In a 2020 study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association, 52% of older adults who had a heart attack reported feeling unusually tired for 2 to 4 weeks beforehand, yet most assumed it was just normal fatigue. So how can you tell the difference? If you feel constantly fatigued for several days, even with rest, and it's accompanied by mild shortness of breath or trouble sleeping, don't rush to blame aging. Your heart may be sending a warning, I can't keep up anymore. One viewer commented, I used to blame stress, but after nearly collapsing while doing laundry, the doctor told me I had early-stage myocardial ischemia. If I had known sooner, I wouldn't have tried to push through it. If you're feeling unexplained fatigue, especially after 60, share your experience in the comments. Your story could be the very thing that helps someone else recognize what's really going on. And the next warning sign explains why thousands of people sleep poorly but never think to blame the heart.
Sign number 6. Sleep disturbances. You're tired, very tired, but still can't sleep well. You toss and turn for hours, and just as you begin to drift off, you're jolted awake, your heart pounding, your breathing rapid. Sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night without knowing why, only to face the next morning feeling completely drained, as if you hadn't rested at all. Sleep disturbances are a silent but important warning sign. Many people assume insomnia is due to aging or stress, but nighttime oxygen deprivation, caused by the heart's inability to pump sufficient blood, is a commonly overlooked cause. When blood flow drops, the brain and body enter a state of subtle alarm, leading to repeated micro-awakenings throughout the night. You may not remember them, but they dramatically lower the quality of your sleep. A 2021 study from the Mayo Clinic revealed that people with chronic sleep disturbances have a 67% higher risk of heart attack, especially when sleep is disrupted by sensations like a racing heart, nighttime anxiety, or cold sweats. Mrs. Linda, age 74, once thought she simply had nighttime anxiety. But after a severe bout of insomnia, coupled with shortness of breath, she went in for a checkup and was diagnosed with early-stage myocardial ischemia. So how can you tell the difference? If you frequently wake up multiple times during the night, especially with symptoms like a racing heart, unexplained anxiety, or breathlessness when lying flat, see a doctor. Don't ignore it. This may be your heart struggling to function during rest. The next sign might seem minor, but it has caused thousands of people to mistakenly believe they're just feeling weaker with age.
Sign number 5. Mild shortness of breath. You climb the stairs, just like you always do, but this time you have to stop halfway to catch your breath. You feel winded, as if you'd been running, even though you only climbed a few steps. Maybe you tell yourself, I probably just need to exercise more. But if shortness of breath shows up even during your usual daily activities, it's no longer something to brush off as normal. The heart and lungs are an inseparable pair. When the heart weakens, it can't pump enough blood to deliver oxygen to your tissues. That forces your lungs to work harder, making you feel breathless, unable to take a deep breath, or tight in the chest whenever you exert yourself. According to the American Heart Association, AHA 2022, over 47% of people with heart failure experienced mild shortness of breath during walking, housework, or even while lying down before their heart attack actually occurred. What's frightening is that many people think they're simply losing stamina due to age. At first, the breathlessness is brief, but over time it becomes routine, needing to rest halfway through chores, pausing in the middle of conversations to catch your breath, or waking up at night with a suffocating feeling. Miss Susan, age 66, once shared, "At first, I only felt short of breath when carrying things upstairs. Then I started feeling tightness in my chest whenever I talked for too long. When I finally went in, the doctor said my heart was functioning at less than 40%. If you've ever felt shortness of breath from light activity, don't wait. You might think you just need to build your endurance, but sometimes what you really need is a heart checkup. And the next warning sign doesn't appear in your chest at all, but in your jaw and neck, causing many to miss their one chance to survive.
Sign number 4. Pain or discomfort in the jaw or neck. You feel a slight ache in your jaw, a bit of stiffness in your neck, and assume it's just from sleeping in the wrong position.
The discomfort isn't severe. It comes and goes. Sometimes it's a brief twinge in one side of your jaw. Other times it feels like heaviness around your neck after physical exertion. But you don't think of your heart, because a heart attack means chest pain, right? The truth is, heart pain doesn't always show up in the chest. The heart doesn't have sensory nerves like your skin. When something's wrong, the pain signal travels through the vagus nerve, a large nerve that runs from the chest up toward the head. That's why a heart problem can disguise itself as pain in the neck, jaw, or even teeth. According to a 2016 study published in BMJ Heart, nearly 25% of women over 65 who were hospitalized for heart attacks reported their main symptom as pain in the jaw, neck, or shoulder, not the chest. The most dangerous thing about this type of pain is how mild and intermittent it often is. You might feel a quick stab in your jaw while talking, neck tightness after a walk, or tension in your shoulders when stressed. These vague, fleeting sensations are easy to overlook until the real heart attack strikes. One viewer shared, "I had jaw pain for a few days and thought it was sinus-related. When it spread to my neck and left arm, I finally went to the hospital, and the doctor told me I had narrowly avoided a heart attack." If you've experienced unexplained jaw or neck pain, especially when combined with shortness of breath, dizziness, or cold sweats, do not dismiss it. Sometimes your heart speaks from places you least expect. And the next warning sign lasts only a few seconds, but it might be the brain's only chance to alert you before losing consciousness.
Sign number 3, dizziness or lightheadedness. You're standing and suddenly everything begins to spin. You instinctively grab onto a wall, quickly sit down. Your heart is racing and your breathing becomes rapid. A few seconds later, it passes. You reassure yourself, maybe I just stood up too fast. But when it starts happening again and again, a quiet concern starts to grow. Dizziness isn't always caused by fatigue or low blood pressure. When your heart becomes too weak to pump enough blood upward to your brain, the brain doesn't get the oxygen it needs. That lack of oxygen can cause a sense of unsteadiness, wooziness, or even the feeling that you're about to black out. If you experience this repeatedly, it may be more than a passing issue. It could be a warning sign from your cardiovascular system. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Neurology found that nearly 30% of older adults who were later hospitalized for heart attacks had experienced brief episodes of dizziness in the 3 weeks beforehand without ever reporting chest pain. Mrs. Ruth, age 69, shared in the comments, "I used to get dizzy almost every time I stood up. It only lasted a few seconds, so I never went to the doctor. Then one morning, I collapsed in the kitchen. The doctor told me I had narrowly survived a transient ischemic attack caused by poor blood flow from my heart." You should be especially cautious if the dizziness is accompanied by symptoms such as nausea, temporary blurred vision, cold sweats, or a mild headache with fatigue. These signs often appear subtle, but they should never be ignored. Don't wait until you pass out to seek help. Sometimes a brief 5-second episode of dizziness may be your heart's final warning before something much more serious occurs. The next warning sign often shows up in the back and shoulders, places few people would ever associate with a failing heart. Sign number 2, pain in the shoulders or upper back. You feel a dull ache in your upper back, a heaviness in your shoulders, as if carrying a load of bricks. But assume you just slept in the wrong position. You stretch, rub your shoulders, thinking it's probably from sitting too long or simply the wear and tear of aging. But something doesn't feel quite right.
The pain isn't sharp, it isn't linked to any strenuous activity, and it seems worse in the morning or after even light exertion. Heart pain doesn't always stay in the chest. It can disguise itself in the shoulders or upper back. This is because the heart's sensory nerve network extends to nearby areas like the neck, jaw, back, and shoulders. When the heart isn't getting enough oxygen, it may send out pain signals, but they're often misdirected, leading you to feel discomfort in the wrong place. According to a 2022 report from the Cleveland Clinic, nearly 38% of women who suffered a heart attack reported that their primary symptom was pain in the back or shoulders, not the typical chest pain. Mrs. Mai, 63, wrote in a personal account, "I had left shoulder pain for several days and thought it was from yoga. But when the pain started spreading down my arm and into my back, I went in for a checkup. It turned out I had a 70% blockage in my coronary artery." The danger of this kind of heart-related pain is that it's often dull and persistent. It doesn't go away with rest, it worsens under stress, and it doesn't respond to typical painkillers. Many people mistake it for spinal issues or muscle strain and delay seeing a doctor, missing the critical window to save their heart. If you've had lingering shoulder or back pain without a clear cause, especially if it worsens with activity or emotional stress, do not ignore it. This could be your heart crying out silently for help. And the final warning sign, though the most common, is also the most dangerous, because it's the one most people dismiss, simply because it comes and goes.
Sign number 1. Mild, brief chest tightness. You feel as if something is pressing down on your chest, but only for a few minutes, and then it fades. It's not sharp, it's not intense, just a heavy, squeezing or burning sensation across your chest that comes and goes. You assume it's just stress, indigestion, or part of getting older, but the truth is, this may be the final warning before a full-blown heart attack. This is known as angina, a condition that occurs when the blood flow to your heart is temporarily reduced, depriving the heart muscle of oxygen. It often appears during physical effort, like climbing stairs, or emotional stress, and typically disappears with rest. According to the American Heart Association, AHA, up to 67% of heart attacks are preceded by mild, fleeting chest pain within the month leading up to the event. Yet most patients don't seek medical attention, believing it's not serious. Miss Elaine, age 70, shared, "I used to feel like there was a tight band around my chest every time I got stressed, but it only lasted a few minutes, so I never thought much of it. Later, I was hospitalized with a heart attack. The doctor said I was lucky I got there in time." Mild chest tightness is not always indigestion, especially if it's accompanied by other symptoms like fatigue, nausea, cold sweats, shortness of breath, or pain radiating to the arm. You need to see a doctor immediately. Don't wait for the pain to become severe and unrelenting. Sometimes the heart's final warning comes in the softest form, just a fleeting discomfort that lasts a few minutes but could mean the difference between life and death. Don't ignore the voice of your heart. Your heart doesn't just stop suddenly. It calls for help many times before it collapses. The problem isn't the lack of symptoms. The problem is that we often miss them. And sometimes just one moment of ignoring a sign is enough to make the damage irreversible. The good news is you still have time. If you're watching this video, it means you care about your health, and that's the very first step towards saving your own life. Here are 5 simple things you can start doing today to protect your heart. Eat a heart-healthy diet. Limit processed foods and focus on leafy greens, fatty fish, olive oil, and whole grains.
Stay physically active. Walk briskly for 30 minutes a day, not to lose weight, but to strengthen your heart. Manage stress. Make time to relax, practice light meditation, and get enough sleep, because stress silently damages your blood vessels. Quit smoking and limit alcohol. Every cigarette is like a silent stab to your arteries. Get regular checkups. Monitor your blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, and have an ECG at least once a year. If you've experienced any of the symptoms mentioned in this video, share your story in the comments. You might be the reason someone else catches the warning signs in time before it's too late. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next video might be the one that helps you or someone you love avoid a tragedy. We'll see you again, stronger with a healthier heart.